Hello and welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm your host Nobody, and today we're going back to Teardown. I got something planned. We're gonna see what it takes to destroy this absolute unit of a tank. And to accomplish this, I got tanks from all throughout history, and hopefully one of them can breach its hull and take the monstrosity down. And if none of that works, I do have a backup plan, so we will get this thing destroyed by the end of the video. We'll start with this little guy. Alright, first shot definitely seems to be breaching the hull somewhat. So what I thought was holes was purely superficial. We just got a couple love marks on the exterior of this bad boy right here. Onto the M3 Lee. Oh, wrong button. Where's the damn seat? There it is. The M3 is definitely a lot slower than that other tank. We'll pick some new spots. One shot, and we'll just make it fair and do two, like we did for the other one. And just like the first tank, those shots were purely superficial. Next, we got the M4A3 Sherman. Now, the Sherman is a very historically well-known name in the world of tanks. So hopefully its reputation can do something on this behemoth here. Alright, just like the other two, complete failure with the Sherman. We're going to skip the KV-2 for now. I actually have high expectations for this tank. So we'll just go ahead and go straight on to the KV-1. Okay, after checking out those shots, I actually got at a nice angle, and I could tell that those rounds were actually penetrating. And while I was at it, I checked the other shells as well, and it seems like every shell so far has actually penetrated a little bit, but not enough to breach the hull. Alright, we're going to go ahead and skip this one for now. We got the M3 half-track. Now, the M3 half-track is designed to be a tank destroyer, so with any luck, we should see a slightly better result. That actually seemed quite promising from here. I don't know if you could have seen that. And from what I can tell, it looks like the half-track, the tank destroyer, did in fact breach the hull the farthest. If we can get it at the right angle, I think we can actually see inside of the tank itself. Alright, next we have Teardown's own interpretation of a tank. First off, by far, this is absolutely the fastest tank in the lineup so far. I think we can actually get a drift going. Oh shit! So, because we cannot actually aim the tank turret itself, we're gonna have to try to do a little fancy work from here. Alright, I have to say I'm absolutely speechless. I was not expecting that at all. It looks like the Teardown tank completely ripped a massive hole in the bottom of this tank. Alright, just to make it fair, I brought in a new tank to shoot with the other tanks. You can see right here there's a hell of a lot of debris that just fell out of the old tank as I moved it to the side. Next, we're going to use the M51 Super Sherman, one of the more modern iterations of these lineup. We'll take two shots as we have before. I'm going to try to shoot in the same spot and see if we can get a duplicate result from the Teardown. And that shot somehow just completely locked up my computer. It might have crashed my game. Okay, that did not crash my game, thankfully. But I did see something going on with the tank. And I don't know what happened. I only shot the one shot so far, but we have two entry holes here. So, I don't know if the shell fragmented on the way out of the cannon or not. We'll go ahead and shoot our second shot. And it again completely locked up my game, so I don't understand what's really going on with the Super Sherman shell. Alright, after 30 seconds of waiting on a completely locked up game, we do have our second hole. It doesn't seem to be as bad as the first shot. Alright, next we have possibly the most modern out of the bunch. We have the Striker. This will also be the first wheeled vehicle out of all the tracks going on. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take aim. Alright, well, I wasn't expecting that to be a machine gun of sorts, a turret, if you will, but it did decently. I mean, we do have a little bit of hole penetration, but not a great deal. Alright, and that's what I thought was going to be the most promising, the KV-2, an absolute monster in its day, and what a monstrous reputation this tank does have. You take aim on a fresh spot and fire. Okay, that was the second most eventful round we've had so far. Oh, well, all right, reload is atrocious with this tank. So I've waited about 30 seconds. Hopefully the round has been reloaded, and we're going to try again. So that's actually a pretty interesting result. I don't know if we actually fully penetrated the hole, but the shrapnel damage is really what took me by surprise. I was not expecting that. If you can see it, we do have about 20 or so punchers in the hole from the second KV round. Just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, we're going to go back to Teardown's very own homegrown tank and see if we can reproduce what we saw with the first one. And yes, Teardown completely cheated. They overpowered their own tank. There's no competition. One shot, one kill. It's done. For this next part, we're gonna do helicopters and see if they can perform any better than the tanks. First helicopter in the lineup is the MI-17. Definitely not too hard to control, fairly straightforward. Since we get a lock, we'll fire. Not bad, not bad. I'd say that was a pretty decent showing from the first helicopter. Not too impressive, but not too bad. On to the next one. Next up, we have the AH-64. Steering's about the same as the last one. It seems a little bit more stable. As soon as we get a lock, we'll fire. Okay, so we got a little bit more damage than the first helicopter, but that's primarily my fault. I thought I had the rocket selected at first, but I did not. Overall, not too bad. We didn't make it through the hole. On to the next one. Alright, up next we have the KA-50. Just like the prior two, as soon as we get the lock, we'll fire. Alright, we got our ammo changed. There goes the rockets. Okay, well, I think my helicopter glitched. All of its weapons are just kind of dangling from the bottom of it. And it kind of floated there for a minute. As soon as I got out of the helicopter, everything seemed to be reset back to normal. Let's go check out the damage. I think this hole is the new one. It seems to be a little bit more than the prior two helicopters, so far the KA-50 is in the lead. Alright, I was gonna do the MH-60, however, it does not have a weapon payload of any kind. So up next, we possibly have my favorite helicopter in the lineup, the Hind D. So the story behind this helicopter is when I was much, much younger and Metal Gear was fresh on the scene, made an appearance at the beginning of the game, and I've remembered it ever since. As soon as we get our lock, we'll go ahead and fire. Alright, I got a little bit carried away with that one, but that was my favorite helicopter. But even still, on these single impacts like here, and here you can clearly see that the Hind D fully penetrated the whole of this massive, massive tank. Alright, and the last thing we'll be testing in today's video is just two very futuristic robots. One big, one small. We'll start off with the small one. We'll find a good spot on the hull, and we'll just fire. Oh. Okay, alright, I got a little carried away. That's fine. The little robot definitely was the robot that could. Alright, I went ahead and spawned in another tank so we can properly test the bigger one out. Oh! And it definitely took care of the job a lot quicker than the little tank. Yeah, and the bigger robot absolutely ravaged this tank. Well, I was about to wrap it up until I found out that both of these robots have a second weapon. Alright, the second weapon on the first little guy was actually pretty impressive. It did a lot more damage than I reckoned it would. Let's go ahead and see what the secondary weapon on the bigger of the two robots can do. And it definitely was not as effective as the primary weapon on the big robot. However, it is still very, very impressive. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.